Welcome back to Race to Win, the sailing podcast. Today I'm going to introduce you to one of the newest features of the raceQs 3D replay, which is our handicapping feature. Boats racing in a one design fleet don't use a handicap because it's just the same type of boats racing against each other. Whoever crosses the finish line first wins, simple as that. However, many fleets around the world are a mixed fleet with different types of boats racing against each other, all on the same race course. Sailors want to be evaluated on their skill level, not necessarily on the inherent speed of their model of boat. So the handicaps are in place to try to make it more fair. When you cross the line in a handicapped race, you usually might have some idea where you placed, but you really don't know how you did in the race until the committee boat posts the corrected results after everyone's finished and everything is calculated. Or at least that's how it used to be. The raceQs handicap systems gives you corrected time results in the replays and live broadcast as soon as your boat crosses the finish line. This is one PHRF division of a race in San Francisco Bay. As each boat finishes, their corrected time is visible. Let's compare that to the race committee results that came out an hour later. If you've set up the race correctly, the results should be correct within 5 seconds. The major factor in the variability is the location of the phone on your boat or small errors in the phone GPS. The raceQs handicaps are intended to be used as a backup. This is not something that you should use in a protest situation. In fact, the rules of sailing require that an actual person records race finishing times. They are not allowed to be collected by a computer. If you see that your finish times are significantly deviating from the race committee results, think about what goes into the calculation for that particular handicap. It's simple math, and we're all using the same formula. So compare the finish times between the raceQs and the committee times, the elapsed time, and then the ratings to make sure that everything has been input correctly. In regular leg-by-leg analysis, it's really hard to tell which leg was successful if you're sailing in a handicap fleet. But with the new handicap calculations, the smoke and mirrors is all gone. So check it out. Here we can see that Huge, who took second place, sailed this leg quite a bit slower. However, in corrected time, you can see that they actually made out on this leg, correcting sailing 30 seconds faster. So how does it work? First off, the race needs to be set up. When you're setting up a start, you enter the time, and now you have an option to choose from a list of available handicapping systems. After the starts are set up and a handicap has been identified, make sure that all the boats in each fleet have a handicap entered in the system. If they don't have one, you can just click on the boat name and enter it here. Of course, ideally, you should have your boat set up on your journal page, including the boat's picture. But if someone forgot to do that, just help them out by putting in their rating for them. Now, there is no ideal handicap system. Every single one has its faults, and there are dozens of various systems, as you can see listed here. There are two basic conceptual approaches to calculating sailboat racing handicaps: time on time and time on distance. Time on distance, which is more popular in North America, calculates boat handicaps based on the mileage length of the race. Handicap systems based on the time on time concept are becoming more popular around the world and have long been in use in Europe. To make a time on time handicap calculation, you don't need to know the distance of the race. The calculations are based on the elapsed time of each boat. I'm not going to go into too much more details about the different types of rating systems, as long as you understand the two basic models. When you're playing around reviewing your replay, one of the things that can be kind of fun, although completely irrelevant, is to see if the final results would have been any different if the race was scored using a different handicap method. Let me show you what I mean. Here are the top 3 boats from a recent race in San Francisco Bay heading out around the race course. If we go ahead and skip to the end of the replay by clicking on the timeline, we can see that the winner was Headrush. So a big congratulations to them. Now they beat the next boat, Warp Speed, by about a minute and beat the third boat L2O by about 1.5 minutes. We can actually click on the corrected time here and see that this race was scored using the PHRF time on distance method. This is the method that was in the sailing instructions and chosen by the race committee. So Head Rush won the race. It doesn't matter what we do after this, but just for fun, it can be interesting to see how race standings change using a different handicapping method. In order to do that, you edit the start. We only have PHRF ratings entered for these boats, so we need to pick a PHRF system. So instead of time on distance, let's score this with PHRF time on time. Save. And if we go back over to our race standings, we can see now L2O has won the race, Head Rush is second, and Warp Speed is third. Well, that's pretty interesting, and I think I know why. Let's take a look at this again. We've got 3 boats. They're rating 123 L2O, 75 for Head Rush, and the other top boat was this boat, Warp Speed, 54. So look at this. Going upwind, they were all going really well. I can tell by the colors of the speeds trail. That's high speed. Coming back downwind, oh no, they're all going really slow. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Except for I happen to know that this is San Francisco Bay, which has crazy current. And there was actually a 2-knot current running against them going downwind. So the race goes on. They're going to go around again. Same thing happens. We can take a look at the stats for this last leg. The distance, it's only about 1.5 miles if you calculate just from mark to mark. However, because they're sailing into the current, although they only went 1.5 miles over the ground, they sailed a lot further actual distance than that through the water. This particular race was using the time on distance PHRF rating system that's popular in North America. But the distance that they're calculating it with is too low because the boats actually sailed farther when they were all sailing up in this current. So that means that boats that rate faster have an advantage because they're not going to take as much of a hit on that handicap mileage calculation. A lot of fleets around North America are trying to change to time on time for reasons like I've mentioned here. But anyways, this is just sort of a fun exercise. Here are the actual results. As you can see, again, congratulations to Head Rush on winning this race. One more quick tip for you. Remember that in order to see the corrected time, you need to click to the end of the timeline. Here I am in the middle of the race. I'm going to see live results. If I click past the finish line, I'll see the finish times. So get out there, have some fun. Hopefully, let's not start too many arguments about which rating system that we should be using. But I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. None of this is going to work if your fleet is not using raceQs. So remind everybody to use the app. It's free, really easy, and everyone learns something from watching their race replay. See you on the water. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can find more on our website, www.raceQs.com/podcast.